Hi there. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to pop in today to talk about what it means to unleash your inner leader. The problem is that a lot of people try to lead like everyone else, and it doesn't end up working. When we become leaders, when we step into leadership positions, it's unfamiliar territory and it could be anxiety provoking. We want to make sure that, the job is done well, that you are living up to the expectations, the belief that others have in you to be able to do the job and do it well and to take people further faster and to be able to lead your team effectively and efficiently, being able to oversee the things that they're doing that you're responsible for at the end of the day. Now, this could put a lot of pressure on you. It's a lot of responsibilities. Not only do you have to do your own work, you have to make sure your team members are doing their job and that they have everything that they need to be able to succeed under your watch, right? It's really important to be able to do that. Now, there are ways that you can identify what your leadership style is. You can just Google that. But what I really want to talk about is how you show up. Sometimes people think that they have to kind of like tame down, dress a certain way, wear their hair a certain way, speak a certain way, more leaderly, but that is not the case. It's only going to backfire. It's not going to allow you to show up as your true, authentic self, the version of you that is really good at what you do, the version of you that maybe has been suppressed, right? Tucked away because you feel like it just doesn't belong at work, much less if you're going to be a leader. Um, and so, if that's you, this message is for you. Okay. Like I said, it's not going to work. It's going to backfire and it's unsustainable. You're only going to get so far, right? I want you to think about ways that you can become a better leader that will help you, not hinder you. And this is a recipe for disaster, right? It's going to harm your progress if you do not identify who you really are. And this consists of your values, right? Your personality, parts of you, your true you that you've been holding back, that you've been leaving at home for whatever reason. For some, it's because they're one of the only in leadership or even at all at their organization. And so they worry that they might be perceived as incompetent or plain old not belonging in their role or even in the organization, right? And so this could really take a toll on you in so many ways. Let me tell you some of them. So, first of all, pretty much what I've already been saying, it'll affect you at work and your ability to lead authentically. Second of all, it's going to stress you out even more than you probably already are with multiple roles and responsibilities that you have. Um, and third, there's more, but I'll just say three for now for the sake of time. The other thing is that you tend to take it home, and it's difficult to leave work at work, especially if you have a lot of pending work. If you have to maybe train someone on something, maybe if you have to put out some fires that are still pending that you didn't have time to put out today, a given day, and much less be able to do your own work. And so that's on your mind. And so it's like whenever you unplug, you really don't. Your mind's still working. And believe it or not, your working hours do not stop when you stop typing, okay? They continue. Those hours continue in your head, in your mind, soaking up precious mental energy, depleting you from being able to be present and just unwind and relax, right? And so this is a huge problem because guess what's going to happen if this is what's showing up for you? Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, but I promise you, if this keeps going, you're not going to be able to show up as your best self. You're not going to be able to lead like you really can. You hear me? And I often see, clients come to me when they've kind of reached their limit, and they're like, you know what, something's got to change. Either I'm gonna step back, step down, say, you know what, at the end of this year, I need to um, exit this leadership position because I don't know what reason you might give them. Some people say family responsibilities. Really, a lot of people don't want to say that they didn't know how to lead because they thought leading had to be a certain way, and they have been pushing that on themselves. And it's ingenuine, it's out of alignment with who you really are. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, it's unsustainable. And besides, people can tell that that's not really the real you. And what does that do? It affects the relationships that you have at work with people because they can sense something's off. And there's mind subconsciously is raising a red flag and saying, I don't I don't know if I can fully trust this person because I see that when they, show up, they something I can tell they're holding something back. And so when people think you're holding something back, their brain automatically raises a red flag and says, deception. And of course, I mean, usually that's not the case, but that's just how our brain works. It's how it's wired. Whenever we see something that's kind of off, our brain is trying to protect us. And so it might in magnify uh, the thing that is triggering it to, pay attention to this in the first place because it doesn't feel safe. And we don't even realize when that happens, by the way. So, but it does affect relationships at work, can even contribute to a lot of conflict, misunderstanding among peers, bumping heads, feeling like you are in a toxic environment. A lot of these problems can be avoided, what I just said, right? Because all that leads to disconnection, disengagement, lack of motivation. And who could blame you when you're so stressed out and overwhelmed? And not only with the work that you do, the responsibilities you have, but the interactions that you have, the collaborations that you have to do. And if there's turmoil between you and other people, that soaks up more of your energy, right? And it just adds up and piles up. So I really want you to take that into account. By the way, if you don't know me, if this is your first time, my name is Dr. Lizette Ojeda, and I help overwhelmed and exhausted leaders be able to show up as their best and be present with their loved ones and actually protect their mental health so that you can go do your thing. I'm all about thrive more and stress less. Listen, if anything that I just said to you resonates, I encourage you to take a moment to think about what this is like for you, what it looks like for you. Where do you need to make some adjustments? What part of you is being untrue to you, right? What part of you is showing up with this facade because you think you have to? You know what I mean? And I get it. I totally get it. Look, I I started my career after I got my PhD pretty young. I was only 28 years old back about 13 years ago. And you better believe I had some imposter syndrome. I would look around to see what other people were doing in positions where I wanted to go, that I aspired to. And I felt like, okay, Lizette, you need to show up and lead like them. But it didn't work. It was just stressing me out, putting a lot of pressure on myself. Because think about it, pretending to be someone you're not, geez, that's exhausting. You know what I mean? It's not fun. And it's not fair to you. It's not. And it's not even fair to other people because they do not get the true you. And I am sure that the true you is amazing, more amazing than you're already showing up as, even if you feel like you're having to hold a part of you back. Um, and I want you to show up at work, in life, being your full self, your whole self, your identities, especially if you have marginalized identities, as even more especially if you have intersecting marginalized identities. What do I mean by that? For example, if you have an invisible disability and are also, let's say, a person of color, right? BIPOC, or a woman, right? Who maybe is a first generation college graduate, the first one in their family to have the role that they have, right? Um, I know for me, like I grew up in a working class family. Immigrant parents didn't even graduate from high school. And so you can imagine what it's like for me whenever I show up in professional settings where have felt in the past. It took me some time to address this, but in the past I have felt like I need to show up with like suit and black suit and my hair pulled up. I mean, that's how I prefer it anyway, but um and it's exhausting. I don't want that for you. So take a step back, think about this, think about what I just said, and see how it might be applying to you. Because here's the thing, we often function in autopilot, meaning that we get so used to doing a certain thing that it just feels like it's part of us, when really it's not at all. And it takes some self reflection, some self awareness, understanding who you are, your values, your identity, your personality, your strengths, not just your skills, but your strengths as a person and what you bring to the table because of who you are. Don't deprive others from that. And most importantly, don't deprive that from yourself. Can you imagine at the end of your career thinking with regret, like, oh my goodness, I showed up with a suit and tie, even though it was so tight and uncomfortable, metaphorically speaking. You worked so hard for your career only to get to retirement time feeling like you weren't able to enjoy your success as your real self. We don't want that. Trust me. So, oh, wait. If you want to talk about what this could look like for you to address this, if this is a problem for you or you don't want it to be a problem, especially if you just stepped into your leadership role, we need to talk. Prevention is less costly and time consuming and exhausting than intervention. So let's prevent this from happening to you. And if it's already happening, don't worry. We can work on that. It can be fixed. Trust me. And the more you delay, the more you try to push through, it's just going to make things worse and you're going to be less happy. If you're less happy, you're more disengaged, not just at work, but at home. And you might want to just kind of isolate. I see that happen all the time. So, what I want you to take in mind is this key takeaway, right? I want you to unleash your inner leader. You have to identify what that looks like first, right? Take an assessment of who you are, everything that makes you who you are. And are you in alignment with that? Chances are there's room for improvement. Don't try to put on the costume that other leaders wear if it doesn't fit you. That, I just came up with that, by the way. I think it's pretty good. It's not going to make you a better leader to try to do things like others do, because it's forcing you to fit into shoes that don't fit. So that's what I wanted to tell you today. Message me if you want some help with this. It's what I do. And I hope you have a good day. I'll see you next time.